All right, well, another month has come and gone. It was November of 2025, and it's gone. And I had been starting these videos with stories, Scotty C or Scott stories. Again, this is retirement, and what I'd like to do in retirement. I want to do some running. I'm early in my retirement, go years. So I'm going to go, and I'm going to do what I like to do, which is run. Running story again. So I've got 4 medals right here. And these represent 2 years of running the Kansas City Marathon. So how do you get 4 medals for 2 years of running a marathon? Well, let's start off with these 2 right here. Let's see if I can put these up at the screen here so you can get a look at them. Hey, yeah, that's not too bad. Okay, the year is 2002, which means that was 23 years ago. Hard to believe it was that freaking long ago. But yeah, I had just passed 40 years old. This is the first marathon that I'd run since moving to Kansas. And you start in downtown Kansas City and run all over the place. You run north, you run a little bit to the south, you run a little east. Actually, you run a fair distance east. You have to run all the way out to the zoo from downtown. It's a fairly decent distance. Absolutely fantastic, beautiful day to go for a run. I remember that. What a great day to have an inaugural Missouri marathon. So it was the first marathon I'd ever run in Missouri. As you can see, one of these was a medalist. So, yeah, not only did I finish, you get a finisher's medal. But I ran fast enough. I don't remember what it was. I was probably second place in my age group. Yeah, there we go. Marathon, male, 40 to 44. Yeah, so anyway, I'm not a complete and total slug, and I'm not just a finisher. I mean, I actually enjoy running. I don't actually mind the workout. It's kind of fun to go for a nice run. And, once you get to the point that you can run, it just feels good. It takes a lot to get there, but it feels good. Even at my current age, when I'm having a good workout, 63 years old, I can go out there and I'm still trying to build up. But, on a day when the weather's nice, 5 miles feels good. But anyway, well, that contrasts with this one. So let's put these up here. A finisher and a medalist from 2003, the next year. So the very same course, but the weather was horrible. It was kind of cold. It wasn't really windy, but it was kind of drizzly. So everybody was out there at some point in time. You got a little bit damp. And I can remember that year I was running with this guy who was actually a doctor at one of the hospitals over there in Kansas City, who was very close to my age. That year I would have been 41. I think he was about 38 years old or so. And, we chatted for quite a few miles. But we got somewhere around mile 10, 11, 12, something like that. And I was like, you're breathing pretty hard trying to keep up with me. And I hate to recommend this, but you need to slow down a little bit. You're going to freaking crash. You're clearly not in as good a shape as I am. So I did. It's too bad because I did enjoy chatting with the guy. And, I probably chatted with the dude for an hour. And I finished the race, and obviously I was a medalist again. I don't remember where I finished, second or third in my age group. I'm hardly ever first in my age group. That just doesn't happen. But second or third. And but I never saw the guy again. So he was right with me, close to halfway, but he disappeared. The guy crashed. And so that's too bad. He was a nice guy. I'm pretty sure he finished, but he didn't have a day like I did. But anyway, that was my second marathon. Over there in Kansas City. The next year they lost their sponsors, so they didn't run it. And the year after that, I did run it, but it was on a different course. It was at a different time of the year. That was fun. Well, anyway, that takes care of a little Scott story. Little running. No cars or anything like that. But, all right, well, anyway, let's continue on. What do I usually do next? I think I head into the money. And there's this month's report. That's November 2025. And let's take a look at the Fidelity. This is an inherited account. I use it to pay my taxes. Take about $300 a month out of that. And so I did cover my $300, so I made more than I pulled out. All right, this is a pass-through account. Who cares? Let me do this one. I usually don't make that much money in this account. Let's take a look at the individual items. I had a capital gain, Omega Healthcare, which is one that I've mentioned in prior videos. That stock is up. Geez, I've owned it for years. Because it just kind of puts along going sideways and it pays a nice dividend. But anyway, my shares that I owned paid about 9.2%, I think. At the current price, I think the yield was about 5%, and I'm like, I can't reinvest, and that's an enormous gain. So that's nearly a double. Of course, I lose income, but I wouldn't have done it if I hadn't have had an opportunity to put the money back into something else. So I didn't lose income, and I was able to put it into something that I like. Similar yield. Actually, it's got better yield. I think I went from 9.2, like I said, to about 10.7. So I got about 1.5% better yield with the same amount of cost basis. So I freed up some cash, bought some stuff, and actually have an increase in income. My IRA is my main money. That's this one. I take about $2,500 a month out, so I covered that plus some reinvesting. And I'll have to go into here and take a look at some of the things like interest income and realized gains. And I'll do some reinvesting with the interest incomes, and I will take some capital losses with those realized gains. All right, there's the interest income from my IRA, $844, and I purchased right there some Omega Healthcare. Like I own the stock over here. They pay me money, $844. I simply move it up from here to there. It's just a paperwork process. Anyway, I now own about 88%, something like that, of that stock in reinvested. I keep pulling my money out of it. All right, let me move on to the next piece. So with my realized gains, which worked out this month to $784.65, I like to recognize losses. And did I have any really great gains this month? This one was both good and bad. Turns out that stock ran up an extra $100 instead of $197. I could have had $290. So that's disappointing, but hey, that's biotech for you. That's a biotech stock. Let's see, some oak. Yeah, I've been working that guy for small gains. Lots of, a lot of money in the pot, but it doesn't have to move up and down very far. But anyway, I need to take a loss now, roughly equivalent to that, or at least realizing a loss. You sell it at a loss and then you buy it right back. And after putting all that stuff in, we close out with these amounts. Let's see, like I say, I was able to cover withdrawals on that one. I was able to cover withdrawals on that one. And with a few extra bucks left over, which is always good because I went to the doctor this month. It's not really a doctor. These days you don't really go and see your doctor. You go see a physician's assistant or a nurse practitioner or something like that. And the only time you see a doctor is if you're really sick. So, yeah, I went to see a nurse practitioner. And I had to fork over $400. And, I mentioned that last month I did take my cat. My cat was sick. And the cat is still with me, but she's not doing well. I don't know if you can see over here, over on the bed, over in this area, right over in there. Those are cat foods. So I lay them out there and I can keep an eye on when she's eating and how much she's eating so I can work my way through all these different kinds of foods. Right now she seems to not be liking seafood type stuff, but she'll eat chicken and turkey. One of the ones she seems to be liking these days is bacon, egg, and cheddar. Who knew? Okay, I'm ready. All right, let me get ready here for a second pass. Yeah, I ate dinner about 2 hours ago. Worked out about 4.5 hours ago. Maybe it's just too close to dinner time. Alrighty, let's take a look at the workout log for this past month. In the background there, you can see some parts. And this rocker arm right here and those lifters belong to a Rotax aircraft engine. A small light aircraft. I think they make those things, and it's like a 1.3 or 1.4 liter. It's a flat 4 pushrod motor, 2 valve per cylinder. And I was thinking that I'll bet that they've got some pretty modern technology in there. So they do. They've got hydraulic lifters. And look at the lightweight shape of that rocker arm right there. Talk about some crazy stuff that I'd love to be able to adapt to our vehicles. But it does exactly what it should do. Notice that it does not have a swivel foot adjuster on it, Bob fucking Hoover. Excuse me, but yeah, that expression pops into my head all the time. But anyway, it is a modern style. It's a ratio rocker. It's got the flat foot at the one end. It's got the cup at the other. And it doesn't even have an adjusting screw. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how you adjust it, but I believe that you put in different length push rods of all the crazy things. I mean, talk about a lightweight valve train. No adjusting. Just hydraulics and the correct length push rod. Anyway, let's take a look at this workout log here. And I haven't even looked at this. And notice that it's got to, I mean, today's the 30th. I just finished the workout, and I haven't even logged it, but it wasn't a great workout. It was a walk. Notice that I haven't done anything except walk for like the last 6 days. It has been absolutely miserable outside, and today it was about 30 degrees. And I just don't run. I don't like to run below 45 degrees unless I'm indoors, so I'm going to have to start going indoors. Wonder if I've got any decent workouts in here. Miles, time per mile. Do I have any fast ones? Look here. Here's one where I'm below 9 minutes a mile. How far did I go? 1.25 miles. That's not even hardly enough to get loose. But what was going on? Too wet. Cut short. Yeah, I remember it was friggin' raining that day. Yeah, it was drizzly when I left, and it actually started getting worse. And I was pretty well soaked by the time I got home. Just 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I know there was a good day. What did I get in here? I got 7.95 miles in, almost 8 miles that day. That was only about 2 weeks ago. 75 degrees, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, it's about time to go indoors. Anyway, I wonder what I've got for the summary. Yay, here's the monthly stats. All right, here's November. What has it got? These are the runs. So I ran 12 times. I got 53 point something. That's a little less than October. But again, you know, I closed out the month by just doing a bunch of walking and not much running. So the running was a bit down. Let's see, miles per day, that doesn't really matter. Miles per run is good, 4.5, it's not bad. Time per mile, modest improvement, but not great. Let's take a look at the walking stats. November, 62.8 miles. I got 19 walks in, walks per mile. Yeah, like I said, when you get rained out and you cut back here and there, it ends up like impacting things. Time per mile, 13:52 is pretty decent. The reason it's gone from 23 to 13 is like last month I had a couple of hikes in there, and I haven't gone hiking this month. Well, you know, when I was out going for a walk about 2 weeks ago, found a snake. Check that out. Found this while I was out walking today. Nice little ringneck snake. Okay, I've been making book and movie recommendations, and this past month I was looking at awards from 2006. This happens to be a Nebula Award for young science fiction type stuff. And so I read it. I mean, I'm not really a young science fiction type person, but I happen to have two daughters who are less than 20 years old. One of them likes fantasy type stuff. And I keep trying to convince her to read science fiction, but I can't do it. I think the problem is that usually adult science fiction just doesn't work for her very well. So I thought I'd try this. And I finished it. It was pretty entertaining, even for me. It's not quite my style, but so I recommended it to her. And it's got this kind of vampire-y type thing. Believe it or not, she's actually like kind of a vampire-y type person because it's fantasy. And as far as movies go, I didn't really do anything with movies. I mean, I got a couple, but nothing really jumped out at me. So that's about it for that this month. Let me move on to a couple of general life type items. I never did get my Suzuki fired up. It just like I went out there a couple of times and took a look at some things, and time passed. And again, just like last winter, I realized I'm just not driving. So I don't think I've done anything in the last week and a half except drive over to the store twice. I've got like 5 miles on the car in 14 days. I just could never get the motivation to get out there and do it. I've got some general maintenance video that I need to put together for the channel on my 73 Super. And I've got that. I've got some road trip type stuff. I did a whole bunch of road trips between September, October, maybe even back a little bit further than that I should probably throw together at some point. I did add a few more subscribers this past month, somewhere around 8, 9, something like that, about 2 a week, something like that. There's one other thing. I do want to do some videos. I've got some backed up stuff that isn't going to take too much prep. But I do have one little tiny piece of stuff to do, so let me flip over to that, and I want to read you a little something. Yeah, that's right. We're back over to good old Guru of Gurus blog, good old Bob, and here he is spewing some nonsense. So highlighted there, we have the words 4-cylinder, 4-cycle. Yeah, we're going to investigate that. Maybe I'll get that done this month. Well, let me get around to closing out, I guess. I've got some maintenance that I have to do. Usually in this time of the year I wander around to the north side of my house and make sure that I haven't got any busted boards or warped boards or anything like that require insulation, because I think my house is going to be okay. I got my last mowing in this somewhere a couple weeks ago. Get out there, scalp the grass down really, really tight so that you can rake the leaves up. But I haven't started raking the leaves. Usually, the last thing in my yard are the crab apples. So the crab apples, they drop all their leaves. It's like if you're out there before they do that stuff, what's the point? Because you're just going to have a pile of crab apple leaves to go and pick up as well. And last fall, I was sick. I was really sick. And I didn't do any yard maintenance at all. So I've got a lot of brush and crap that has grown up in various places that I've got to do some cleanup on. I don't have too much car stuff that I'm planning on doing. I will tell you this. I had investigated getting a replacement Delorto Baby Doll, 2 car bodies, from a guy in Canada. But to get the stuff, I needed to have PayPal. And in order to get PayPal, you need to have a cell phone. And although I take pictures with a cell phone, I don't actually have a cell phone account. So I can't PayPal, which is really inconvenient. So I was unable to get those baby dolls. But I'm sitting here thinking about it for the last couple of weeks since I realized that, well, I'm not going to be able to buy these carburetors. Maybe what I'll do with good old Blue down there is I'll get rid of the baby dolls, and maybe I will go with dual 2-barrel setup. Hey, that's life. That's how things are going this past month. I'll see if I can't do a little bit more later.